Live. Okay. Oh, goodness. We are live. Okay.
We are live.
We are on StreamYard Live, and I am going to get started. So, welcome everyone to the Green Nurse Podcast, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. Now, we don't want to make anyone sad tonight. However, we do like to talk about things that people don't want to talk about, and it's usually because we want to decrease stigma around these issues for healing. So SAD is seasonal affective disorder. And tonight, Green Nurse Iowa, Carey Lee and I will be talking about this subject. So Carey Lee is our green nurse in Iowa, educating patients on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis, as well as helping patients get their medical cards in Iowa. She's a cannabis nurse, patient advocate, and works in the traditional system as a restorative nurse. Carey Lee has a clinical experience with mental health disorders and chronic pain. And she was last profiled in May, can't believe it's been that long ago, on our show. And she shared her story of what brought her to cannabis nursing. So tonight we're going to discuss what it means to be both a patient and a clinician with seasonal affective disorder. So Carey Lee, hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too, love. I mean, in this time, well, first, wait a minute. First, let's just say thank you to all of our veterans. I just want to acknowledge that. Speaking of, mental health disorders and PTSD and complex PTSD and depression and anxiety and all those things that don't feel good. So I want to acknowledge our veterans. Thank you so much. And Nurse Mark has a special really quickly, www.nursemark.co. All CBD products, 50% off. Vet 50 for a Nurse Mark product, 50% off all products. Okay,
Thank you, Nurse Mark.
Thank you, Nurse Mark, for taking care of the community. And we appreciate Nurse Mark is a veteran. He's a veteran of the Marines. So, and he is absolutely fucking amazing. And he wrote a book that's called that as well. AFA, Living the Life You Love. AFA. All right, let's get back to SAD. I'm feeling happy, so it's going to be hard to talk about SAD. However, it is something that exists, and it's the more that I learned about it over the past couple of days, knowing that we were going to do this podcast, the more I was in awe of how it is related to the endocannabinoid system. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But anyways, what is seasonal affective disorder, and how did that manifest in you?
Seasonal affective disorder is a form of major depression. It has a seasonal component. So it's pretty much connected to our circadian rhythm. So basically, when you have the days start getting shorter, the nights are longer, we have exposure to less sunlight. Yeah. So that affects all of the neurotransmitters that are produced by our bodies, like melatonin and serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine. So it can be actually very devastating. There's seasonal affective disorder, and then there's actually a milder version that's super common, winter blues.
Right.
But there is a very significant distinction between both of them. So it's pretty much the further away from the equator that you live, the higher the risk that you're going to get it. So
right, because there's less sunlight in the daytime, right? The further you are from the equator.
The symptoms are horrible. I mean,
so how did it manifest in you? So you
okay.
So for people, because I know sometimes the weather affects how I feel. I have a history of anxiety and depression, but I've after looking at this, as I would say, no, I do not have this. However, how did it manifest in you, and how did you get the diagnoses?
Okay, so it manifested in me in the sense of I had no daily functioning left. I couldn't manage my household. I couldn't work full time. You're just extremely fatigued. You want to sleep all day. And then you can't sleep at night because you've slept all day. The anxiety that comes with it is horrible. For me and for a lot of sufferers, it's actually kind of a form of agoraphobia because you don't want to go in public. I cannot get into a store to do grocery shopping unless I have a list and I'm going during off-peak hours. I've had panic attacks in big box stores during these times.
I can identify with that. I can totally identify with that.
It's social events. You're not going to social events. You're canceling at the last minute. All of these factors then affect your interpersonal relationships. So what happens in the cycle is you're like bailing on all your friends and family. You're blowing people off at the last minute. You're not really able to tell them, or they don't understand what's really going on. So when you come out of that hibernation period time, usually in the spring at some point, and that's dependent upon if your winter is prolonged or not. I could have freaking snow blizzard in May, for crying out loud, in Iowa, you know? Anywho, so when you come out of that cycle, it's tough emotionally because then you're trying to rebuild these relationships. And over time, people just drop off because they're done, and rightfully so. You know, it's really hard to get somebody to understand what it really feels like, because I don't think it's really been taken very seriously until recently.
Right.
So, I mean, for me,
and there you go. And there's, go ahead, say that again.
The depression, the lack of function, that's really the defining factor. You know, are you not bathing? Are you not taking care of your house? Are you sitting all day and not able to get up and move?
Right.
You know, are you, it's the functionality. Are you not able to perform at work? Are you not, concentration? Like, I'm struggling right now. My symptoms are already hitting me. The lack of concentration and
so brain fog.
Yes, major brain fog. And then obviously as a parent or a wife or a friend or a mother, whatever, you see that you're not able to do these things for your loved ones that you're supposed to be doing. And then the mom guilt comes in. Then the negative self-talk comes in and you're beating yourself up. Then the suicidal thoughts come in.
I can identify with all of that. Like even suffering, having chronic illness, having, this horrible gastrointestinal illness, having, chronic myofascial pain, the autoimmune condition, all of that stuff, can identify with every single one of those feelings, the agoraphobia and the panic and the social isolation and not wanting to be around people and really like pulling back and engaging. So I do.
It's hard. That's really hard.
I have agoraphobia. I mean, but I laugh about it and I know how to take care of it, but it's really real how you play games. You figure out ways to just not have to go outside at all.
It's that, tell me if you agree with us. It's that I think the anticipation is just as horrible as the actual act itself trying to go out.
Yeah. Yes.
You build it up.
Cannabis has been really, really effective. No. But cannabis has been really effective for me with agoraphobia, literally like in the parking lot, inhaling before I go in. It's really,
something
just
else
like little tiny bits, the tincture to get out the door, the gummy on the way to the store, and then the quick hit before I actually get into the store, just to get through it. No, I totally get it. And so this is trauma. This stuff is traumatizing. So here you are, you have a disorder, and people think, you're crazy. The weather. It's the weather.
I mean, I have missed multiple Christmas with my in-laws. I've just not showed up at the last minute because I did not have the resilience to be around that many people. And I didn't have the strength to put the mask on, because that's the other part of it. It's the Jekyll and Hyde thing. Like, I'm two different people. Essentially, I live and flourish and thrive for 3 to 5 months of the year. So, essentially then when spring is coming and you're coming out of it, or I'm coming out of it and I'm going into summer, I am like I'm me. This one.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can get hypomanic. Because this is it's the psychiatrist that diagnosed me. I love him. I wish he was still around here. He explained it to me that it's on the spectrum of mood disorders. So, it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, that's kind of like the endocannabinoid system and how we manage patients with cannabis.
Exactly. And
There you
the
go.
modalities that we use to treat it is similar to that as well. So
Yeah, so it's managing, yeah, so managing the endocannabinoid system. Wow, interesting. So basically, the psychiatrist diagnosed you. And so what treatments have you used in the past, and what do you find is the most effective now? What did you
well,
start?
okay. Well, first and
Mhm.
foremost, he diagnosed me. I started journaling. I started journaling over a few years just because I was so desperate to figure out what is going on, you know? And I brought my journals in and I said, look, I could only see one thing. And my worst time is January and February, you know? And he didn't even flinch. He was just like, yeah, seasonal affective disorder. This is what it is. I had never heard of it. I was like, okay, yeah, what is that? So that's how I was diagnosed. Treatment is light therapy. That is the primary go-to. So we're looking at what we call a light box. I don't have mine up here with me. I have posted pictures of that online before, but it's essentially 10,000 lux. And so they come in really super small sizes so that you can keep it on your desktop. And they come in like, I'm not kidding you, like TV
Wow,
size. Yeah. And
wow,
the size of it's important because it determines how close you have to be to the light. The light has to go, your eyes have to be open, has to go in so the retina absorbs that light and it stimulates that process of producing or stopping, slowing down the melatonin production. That's the key part. That's the key component to light therapy. You want to use it within the first 30 minutes of waking up because you're trying to mimic the sun rising early and the
mm,
sun setting late, right?
right, right.
So that's the way
You
that we
wouldn't do your
kind of
light
trick our
therapy,
bodies.
right? So you wouldn't do the light therapy at bedtime because it wouldn't make sense.
No, no, although I will
Mm.
say, like for me, I start my light therapy in August. I track when I first start feeling my symptoms on my calendar on my phone because I want to make sure I'm preparing for it.
Right.
So August 10th this year was the first day that I felt the symptoms and I knew, okay, you
What
know,
symptom did you
uh,
feel? So when you say August 10th, what do you remember feeling?
what I remember feeling was extremely exhausted. And I didn't have a reason why because I was sleeping well and doing my thing and my routine or whatnot. And it was just a feeling of it's just black and white. One day
So
you
that
wake
makes
up,
sense. So in other words,
it
there was
just hits you.
nothing different in your life. Everything was fine. You were managing fine. There was nothing that you were doing all of your health and wellness activities, and then you just woke up and you're like, wow,
It hits
I'm
you.
freaking
Yeah.
exhausted. And so it's like so you know because you know your body because you've been tracking it. So you knew
Yep.
that this is okay, this
Journaling
is
is
a
huge.
sign.
Journaling on any level, I don't care if it's a notebook, if it's on your calendar, there's journaling apps, whatever, there's mood journal. You know what I
You
mean?
know what I
It,
do? I do video journaling.
that's awesome.
Fun. You create little
Journaling,
videos for yourself and you save
it's
them.
it's like journaling has allowed me to because like if when I felt that way on that morning, I immediately went to my weather app and I looked to see is the sun rising later, is it starting to set earlier, and sure enough, boom, and I'm just like, oh, oh
Wow, that's amazing. And so then that's when you started. So that's when you started to do
yeah,
your
just a
sun.
few. Yep, yep. And for me, this is a year-round thing. I don't put my light box away because if we have a string of rainy, gray days, which we have that here in Iowa, um, I can wake up and it's dark, and I'm like, it's just,
Wow.
it's indescribable, Sherri. It really is, and it's difficult because people are so used to me being super Energizer bunny, sparkly. So when sad hits me, I can't even look you in the eye.
Yeah. Can I tell you that
I
what I'm
can't even
like?
look you in the eye.
Wow. You know what's
Yeah.
interesting is what reminds me of is if I have a chronic pain flare, I can feel right? It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Feel
it
something's
really,
coming on.
truly is.
And like I have polymyalgia rheumatica. It's an autoimmune condition. It's a chronic myofascial pain syndrome. When I'm going into a pain flare, I'm like, what have I done or not done to take care of myself? Right? What am I doing?
Exactly.
So you have to stop and start to critically evaluate, because my chronic pain flares can land me in bed for weeks. And it's just, and then it takes forever to get out of it. So it's, as a medical patient that's managing symptoms of chronic illness, using cannabinoids and health and wellness tools, you really need to pay attention, because oftentimes what happens, just think about it. I know for you and for me, it's happened, is we start to feel so good. We're using cannabinoids, we're feeling good. We're living our best lives, doing all these health and wellness activities. And then all of a sudden we might get a little lazy. It feels so good. I'm going to have the French fries instead of the baked potato. I'm going to have the dessert. I'm going to have a soda. I'm going to have a drink tonight. I can stay up extra late. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't need that yoga class. I think I'm going to skip it.
It's like the snowball. It's the snowball effect,
right?
Like the best way I can describe, this is how I describe it to like anyone who's willing to listen. It's like a light switch with a dimmer. And in the summer, my light is on and I'm bright and I'm trying to get as much in as I can, because I know that once a certain time of that year hits, I'll be lucky to just get up and shower. But so that light switches on, and then the dimmer fluctuates throughout the year depending upon what kind of weather we're having. And it's not something to take lightly. It's a real freaking thing, you know what I mean? And so when it shuts off completely, that's when I've hit, usually it's the pattern is usually the first week of January. So January 9th to be exact. It's crazy.
We got a lot of tools. We still haven't talked about
yes,
all
we
the
do.
tools.
I mean, light therapy. Here's the second big treatment: vitamin D. Supplementing.
Mm-hmm.
The sunshine vitamin. I mean, here's the interesting factoid I found, an article from Mayo Clinic, and we can link this. The recommended daily allowance, I believe, is 600 international units a day. 600.
That's nothing.
No. The National Endocrine Society likes it at 1,000, and Mayo Clinic is suggesting up to 2,000. And that's a very common go-to. Like for me personally, I say as a nurse, you have to go have your levels checked first before you start supplementing. Number one, first and foremost, you need your baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I've over the years been able to tweak and figure out, well, during the summer, I will supplement like maybe once every 3 days, because I may not get outside every day.
Right.
Working and all that junk. And then, so when that change starts to come on, like right now, I'm doing 10,000 international units a day.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you too, that you should have your levels checked, because I was on vitamin D and my levels were over at one point in time. So, and she had recommended.
And it can be toxic. It can be toxic.
Yeah. Vitamin D is fat soluble, just like cannabinoids are. So really, really important that, you start low and go slow.
Yeah. I mean, vitamin, I don't think we promote that enough, that vitamin D. So good for so many different things,
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people that are, don't take enough of it anyway. So yes, vitamin
and if
D.
you think about it, it's not really in a lot of foods. You can get it in mushrooms, right? Eggs, fatty fish. It's added to milk. But if you're not into those things.
Right. Yep. True.
So like those treatments, and then like you throw in like CBT therapy, mindfulness.
Cognitive behavioral therapy is absolutely wonderful. It helps. This is for me, and I loved doing it. I used to take a couple puffs before I go in, and I felt like mind cracked open. And it helped to connect the dots. I could pull out of the story. Every time I go in, I'd be like vomiting, and let's restructure how you think that. Let's try to perceive this from a different way. And having the cannabis on board was great. So cognitive behavioral therapy is awesome. I'm all for it. Thumbs up. What else? So we've got light therapy. We've got vitamin D. We've got cognitive behavioral therapy. We've got adaptogen. Nutrition. Yeah.
Nutrition, meaning here's one of the telltale symptoms of SAD. You crave the starchy, elevated the high glycemic level. Think about your white potatoes, your bread, your pasta, your cakes, your
Cookies.
brownies, all that stuff is what you're craving. Because what happens when you eat that junk, it actually, it satisfies it boosts your dopamine levels. It's like that feel good. Oh my God, this is excellent. I love it. I feel so much better. Plus it also boosts up your serotonin. But what happens is when you go up way, way, way up, you're going to come crashing down and you crave it more and more. So I literally stay away as much as I can. I'm primarily plant-based. I focus on protein because protein helps keep you satiated. And we have lots of plant-based protein available to us. You know what I mean? So nutrition is huge. Nutrition is directly correlated to mental health.
Totally.
Hands down. Yep. Believer, experienced myself. So
well, there's
exercise.
Science around it. There's science around. It's called nutritional psychiatry, right? And if you think about the health of the microbiome and the gut, and then how it kicks right back around into your brain, and it helps people's cognitive function have improved, with improved gut health. Also working on improved gut health, also works on decreasing stress, which is just amazing. Working on the whole adrenaline, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, and decreasing cortisol that gets secreted. So truly, like, all of these systems are so
intercorrelated. It's crazy.
So it makes so much sense. So nutrition's key too. Just like one other thing, huge. Really important, and I'm going to say it really fast because I always do, is fast food. We need to avoid fast food, fried food, fake food, artificial flavors, artificial coloring, trans fat, hydrogenated oils, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, processed food, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, things that don't have labels on them.
Can you pull it out of the ground? Can you pick it off of a tree or a bush? There you go. Whole foods. You can't go wrong with it.
Hemp protein too. Other sources of protein that are plant-based. Pea protein, hemp protein. There's so many different types of other protein sources that you can incorporate, including hemp bars, hemp milk, hemp protein.
Shelled hemp seeds. You can buy that organic right off of Amazon. I mean, that's like wonderful source of protein and healthy cardiac fats.
Yes, I'm going to do a quick plug for Eaton Hemp. Eaton Hemp, if you're out there, big thank you. They sent me a care package with hemp hearts and these little hemp that are crunchy. They remind me of Pop Rocks. So, so nutrition is
They're
key.
tasty too. I think.
They're very tasty.
Nutrition's huge. And here's something else. Let a nurse help you, or a registered dietitian. I did not know how to read a label, a food label. And the most important part of the food label is the ingredients list. And if you cannot pronounce
what's on the ingredients,
and also sugar is disguised as so many different names that you may not realize it.
Fructose, high fructose corn syrup, glucose,
sucralose. That's a big one. That's Splenda.
Ooh. Yep, all these sugar derivatives. Totally. So, all right. So we covered light. We covered nutrition. We covered supplements. We didn't really get into the cannabinoids yet. Let's talk about cannabinoids. Someone asked me a question. Any questions?
Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah. So the cannabinoids. So cannabinoids are essential phytobotanical nutrients that support, regulate, and nourish the endocannabinoid systems. We talk about things that support and nourish the endocannabinoid system. Cannabinoids are one of them, plus all these other tools that Carey Lee and I are talking about that help SAD. That's the part that's so interesting, is that it clearly is related. The endocannabinoid system is affected by seasonal affective disorder. And the ways that we nourish and care for our endocannabinoid system is what's going to help manage symptoms of SAD. So that's the part that's so fascinating. So cannabinoids come into fact. In my personal opinion, working with a lot of patients that have depression, we need to be careful with the THC. I'm going to say right there.
Yep.
So truly prefer patients to have rich CBD profiles. THC is awesome. Trust me, I love it. But too much THC can actually make you more depressed. So
Right.
looking at, and then looking at different types of products that have stimulating daytime terpenes, right? So
Yes, the profile is
the
key.
profile, the
The
key.
whole kit and caboodle. I want to see it all.
Yes, limonene, alpha pinene, those are wonderful stimulating terpenes. And you have linalool, hops, myrcene, so these other like sedating type of terpenes, and so they work in synergy with the plant. So looking at the plant, what's in it, higher CBD to THC ratios, being careful how much you consume. And think about microdosing is generally the preferred way because what we're doing is you're not getting big blasts. It's almost
Right.
like glycemic index, right? So we want to keep your blood sugar stable. So you eat low glycemic index foods. So it's very similar. You want to microdose with different cannabinoids to stimulate your own endocannabinoid system and to mimic what your body's already doing to keep your umbrella in balance.
Absolutely.
So how has
Beautiful thing.
cannabis helped you with your SAD?
Well, I'll tell you, my sad. First of all, that is what led me to CBD. Throughout my research process, and keep in mind, I was not a nurse. I was not a nurse or in nursing school in 2013. That's when I was diagnosed. But okay, now I'm losing train of thought here. What was just talking? Oh, CBD, yes, right. It's my sad. No,
oh,
okay,
honey,
so
we gotta I'm sending you some light, some energy.
please. Whoa, my God.
11 energy coming your way.
I don't even remember how I came across it, but I came across Charlotte's Web, and I read the story about Charlotte Figge. Rest in peace, sweet angel. Oh, and it was fascinating to me because obviously she had seizure disorder, so that particular strain was supposed to be anticonvulsant. I correlated that to the off-label use of the pharmaceutical anticonvulsants that they use for as a mood stabilizer. I've been put on those multiple times with no luck, but I thought, well, the CBD is coming from a plant, and I'd much rather try that for the anticonvulsant properties to help me with my mood regulation. It also has antipsychotic properties, again, to help relax you and calm you and sedate you. Because irritability is a big, huge thing with seasonal affective disorder. So yeah, that's where I started, was Charlotte's Web products. And I'm not going to lie, the cost was a gut punch. But my desire to stay off of pharmaceuticals that never benefited me in the first place. I'm not poo-pooing pharmaceuticals. It's definitely needed. For me, they never worked. I was this freak. I mean, nothing ever worked. So that's how
your endocannabinoid system was crying for the plant. Feed me,
really was.
Feed me, right?
It really was. And now it's like, okay, now that I have my card and I have access to other products, I'm learning that, wow, okay, I want to have like, higher CBD with a little bit of THC during the day to just kind of help me with the anxiety.
Yeah.
And then at night, because I am going to juice up on the light. It's just, I've got a tanning bed. Don't poo-poo me, everybody, for that. Okay. I'm wired up right now. I'm wired up right now because of this little freaking light, right?
Well, this is what I look at it as, is you're doing whatever it takes to stay healthy.
You betcha.
And living your best life. And if it means you have to lay in a tanning bed so you don't have to take pharmaceuticals, I'd be laying in a tanning bed. I want a tanning bed.
I had to weigh the risks. I had no benefits.
Risk-benefit ratio. Yeah.
I had no benefits from psychiatric medications. I did try the Wellbutrin. That's the standard go-to. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it was a no-go for me. Exercise is huge too. Let's not forget. And that's another way that we nourish our endocannabinoid system. Exercise.
Well, let's just talk about what you created. Daily 5 to Thrive. So you can vibe and live your best life.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I love it. Daily 5 to thrive. You introduced me to this concept, and I've been calling it high vibe 5.
I love it.
But I love it. Daily 5 to thrive really incorporates, it is truly about nourishing your endocannabinoid system for optimal health and wellness. And this is something that you created to help with your conditions that you're managing. So let's talk about, tell us what it is, Daily 5 to thrive, and what it is, and the different things that people can do to.
So Daily 5 to Thrive for me, it's essentially my self-care plan. And, years of trial and error and journaling and seeing what works and what doesn't, I knew these things. Number one, sleep hygiene is the number one most important thing if you have mental health issues and if you don't. Sleep
Right.
hygiene means you're trying to stay as consistent as you can with going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. This sets your circadian rhythm and maintains it.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two is nutrition. Fuel your body. Plant-based, protein. Hydration is huge. Water.
Hydration.
Stay away from caffeine because
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, caffeine depletes our body of B vitamins.
Yep. Well, and also
B vitamins bathe the central nervous system.
And if you're I used to drink coffee all day long. It's cold outside, right? I want something warm. So easy fix. I switched to herbal tea.
Herbal tea
that too.
and
Herbal
mushroom tea. Yeah.
Oh
Herbal tea is
yeah.
wonderful. I love that's how I get my water in, is through herbal teas for sure. There's so many different mints and lemon and lavender and chamomile, and there's so many different types of tea.
So yummy.
Very beneficial.
So yummy.
So okay, so Daily 5 to Thrive. I want to get back.
Okay, so
nutrition,
nutrition, exercise. Move your daily. At least 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous. There's articles that show moderate to vigorous really just boost up your endorphins or your bliss molecule.
Anandamide.
Yes.
So as we say, motion is the lotion, right? So everyone's got to move. Yoga. Yoga to me is awesome because I'm incorporating 4 different things: mindfulness, meditation, movement, and breath work. Truly helps me to just get out of my head into my body and to move. And I do feel euphoria. I mean, granted, I love using cannabis and doing yoga. It's like boom, boom, extra euphoria, extra bliss, and feeling really, really amazing when you're done. So exercise, motion is the lotion.
It is. And I mean, I have got all kinds of tips and tricks. Can't cover it in this here, but I'll share it. I'll share it with people online. I have my own little home gym set up.
She does. Actually,
I do.
Carey Lee has her own page here on Facebook. We're going to link it because Carey Lee you do videos, which is amazing. I do. She does these cute videos. Yeah. I know they're great. Like she was roller skating in her work.
Well, hey, I got to do what I got to do to make people smile. It's like Dr. Pat Adams. You know what I mean?
Dr. Pat, I know. So it's great. So you're bringing a lot of hope and inspiration to people. Let's get back. So sleep, nutrition, including hydration, exercise, motion is the lotion, the anandamide molecule.
So number 4 is sunshine, light therapy, tanning bed, get outside. So you have to adapt depending upon the weather, what's going on. I mean, just because it's freezing cold doesn't mean you can't go outside. I was outside when it was ice storming last night, and I hated that it was happening, but at the same time, I appreciate the beauty, and I'm snapping a photo of the ice on the branches and listening to the sound. Anyway, so yeah, that part of it. And then 5 is meditation. Huge.
All right. So daily
gratitude journaling, education, doing your hobbies. It's like fueling your mind and your soul. Right. You have to keep it in line.
It's mental, emotional, spiritual healing.
It really is. When one is out of balance, one is going to be off balance. It's simple.
It is simple. All right, Carey Lee. So let me see. Did we hit all the questions? So we talked about the daily 5 to thrive. So Carey Lee is one of the green nurses in Iowa, and Carey Lee is doing consultations as well as medical cards in Iowa with Dr. Mary. And if you book a medical card or a consultation, you will get 50% off Nurse Mark CBD products. Nurse Mark is actually having a sale right now for Veterans Day, 50% off all CBD with code VET50 at www.nursemark.co, and that's going to be listed in the little comments there. But anyways, the bottom line is Carey Lee is available for consultations. Her specialty is with mental health disorders, chronic pain. She's available for consultations anytime. If you go to the website, www.thegreennurse.com, you can click right on nurses. We have cannabis nurse page, and her profile's right there, her email's right there. You can contact her directly and communicate with her. You can actually fill out an intake form, and she'll get it. You can request her, and we will help you all to live your best lives. Yes. So, Carey Lee, this has been awesome. So appreciate you and everything that you do. Carey Lee is a big part in helping us with social media and keeping positivity and nourishing our community. You know, truly, cannabis is about community, and we are bringing on practitioners that truly understand what it means to work with a patient's spirit, not only with their bodies, but their spirit. So spiritual healing, spirituality, I truly feel is the root of cannabis care, because once we can reach a patient's spirit, we can help to change their thought processes, right? You think about mental, emotional healing from spiritual healing, and then that's going to filter into our bodies. So when I'm talking about healing, healing isn't necessarily the absence of illness or disease. It's generally doing the best you can with what you have right here, right now. So Carey Lee is an inspiration to everyone. She's been doing great work, and I'm so grateful that you are part of the Green Nurse team, truly.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful for you all.
You're shining, and you're just totally shining, and it's awesome. And, you know, being an inspiration, and, you know, the part that's great too is we want to attract more health professionals that want to do this type of work, you know, to educate on the endocannabinoid system, other health and healing modalities, progressive healing modalities, things that are outside the box, and how we can complement not just these outside the box therapies, but bring them into traditional. You know, that's what it is just there's something for everyone. You know, patients will say, does this work? Does this work? Does that work? I'm like, listen, everything works and nothing works. We have to figure out what works for you. So we're here to help you on that journey, right, Carey Lee?
Absolutely.
We'll hold your hand until you're ready to let go. All right, everyone. We're going to be going live actually on YouTube now. We're going to do a slide presentation. So if you want to join us, come find us on YouTube in about 10 minutes. And remember what it is all about. It is about living your
best
life.
Love it.